Hey, Sushi crew. Change of plans tonight and change of time. And I apologize for that, but um, it has been a crazy day. And I was not prepared to do a episode 3 of the Netflix series recap tonight. I have spent my day working, but also following some of the, I'm going to call them shenanigans in the Lori Daybell case today. Live and in real time, not a docu-series type of event. So, as many of you know, today there was a hearing, and Judge Boyce ruled that not only are there not going to be cameras allowed for the rest of the pretrial hearings, but they are banned from the trial itself. To me, this is absolutely devastating. I think a lot of you feel the same way. I think it was very, very on the conservative end of things to make this kind of decision. And there's just so much to talk about. So I don't even know where to begin, to be honest. And I see some of your comments here. I see King is saying, terrible decision. Not for the media as such, for transparency. I agree. Absolutely. And Alexis R. Oh, sorry, I did not realize media lost their battle in court. Anyone going to be in the courtroom covering it? That we know. So I think we can count on Justin Lum and Nate Eaton both being in court. And, I said this on Twitter, but this is an actual conversation I had with a friend when all this was happening today. And I said, I have total faith, confidence, and trust in Nate Eaton and Justin Lum. There's two reporters that I have 100% trust in. It's those two. And, of course, there's people like Kathy Russin from Long Crime Network and some others. But I want to hear how the evidence is presented to the jury the way the jury hear it, so that when I hear the verdict, I can understand, or I can try to sort out how that verdict came to be. Because there is going to be new information in the trial. And there will be some information that you and I know that the jury will never be presented with. And I want to see how that process works. I feel like I'm mourning something. And here's the other thing, and I'm just going to say this for real quickly. There's been a lot of coincidental dates in this trial, a lot of them. And today is the anniversary of J.J. Vallow's death. And this is when we make this decision, today. I know that the court can't always look at a calendar and say, oh, well, I know we can't say this today because of this and because of this and because of this. But it just doesn't feel good. It really doesn't. It doesn't feel good. It feels very inappropriate to me. And I think maybe there needs to be a little bit more sensitivity here. And like I said, I know when we're looking at dockets and we're trying to get ready for a trial that's supposedly going to happen in January, that there are a lot of things that get shoved to the side. But goodness gracious, do we shove a victim who died at the hands of his mother? Do we shove him aside to make this decision? I don't think it was correct. I don't. And as long as we're talking about transparency, I saw somebody somewhere in the chat, I saw the word conspiracy. I'll tell you what, if we don't get to see this trial, they're going to be, the public is not going to, they're going to have to, I suppose, they're not going to accept secondhand information. Now, the judge was very specific about cameras. He did say they have an audio stream that's maintained and operated by the court. There is a possibility that we will hear an audio stream. I pray to God that we do. I'd like to see the trial, but if I can't see it, I at least want to hear it. I'm not, Breaking Crime with Big E said to me today, I'm not really particularly fond of trials that are tweeted, and I'm not either. I want to hear this, and I'm very invested, as you all are, in this case. And so in a minute, we're going to talk about kind of how we got here and exactly what happened today and how the orders were read. But just give me a second, because I ran into the house and, threw on a t-shirt and ran upstairs to talk to you guys. And I'm still processing. It's been hours and hours, and I'm still processing. Like, is this real? Is this real? And that's why I'm saying it's like stages of grief, almost. Like, I'm in the denial phase. Like, I can't fathom that this is happening. I don't know. Hey, Car Guy 72. Hi, Justice Janny. Petunia, Language of Horses. Petunia, you had a feeling about this? I did not. I got to tell you, I couldn't imagine that this was going to be the decision. I thought maybe pretrial hearings, but not the trial in itself. It totally stinks. Yep, it's bull. You know what? Praetorian Purple says conspiracy works when everyone is in on it. I don't know exactly what you mean by that, but if you want to explain it down there, I'm open. Yeah, he used the nuclear option and he didn't need to, meaning Judge Boyce, and that's from BCBE. He, except Eric, he didn't have somebody sitting next to him with the other key turning it. This is we can talk about this just hold off 1 second. I'll go into this in depth in a minute, but what's really hard about this is that according to the state of Idaho and their policy, the judge has the discretion to ban the cameras from court, right? And there is no appellate process for that. You cannot appeal this decision. Now, what we can hope for is that maybe there's some pressure from the family, maybe down the line, the judge changes his mind. He can do that. And let's just hope that's what happens. Because right now it is an F show. Hey, Mel Mac. So there's an audio recording system in the court, but we don't know if that's going to be broadcast or not. That decision hasn't been made. Hey, Cat H. Let's see. Oh, lost in the chat I am. Let's see. Yeah, it is good news. It's good news that the judge can change his mind. That might happen. The family did issue a statement today. Family meaning Kay and Larry Woodcock, grandparents of JJ Vallow, and the family of Charles Vallow. So let's talk about some of the things that, other than the order being entered, some of the things that happened in the, oh my gosh, Athena, could we write letters to the judge? No peanut butter jars, just respectful requests. And she's referring to Letitia Stout. I needed to laugh, so thank you. All right, so everybody's presenting their arguments for this. And Jim Archibald, who represents Lori Vallow in court. By the way, Lori was kind of tucked between her two attorneys today. We saw like her little head peeking out between the two of them, but if you had a camera, you couldn't really get in there and see her. He mentioned several times that in the August hearing that the cameras were very focused on Lori. There were microphones on their tables. They didn't feel like they had a sense of privacy being her attorneys, and he made some interesting comments about her mental condition and how it was going to come out soon what her mental condition was, or what her diagnosis was, or affliction is, or whatever, and that the cameras were almost making like a mockery of her. I hear a lot of people saying that Lori's playing to the camera, so it's just how you feel about it. His opinion is that, or seems to be, that Lori's playing to the cameras because there's something off with her, and she sees the camera on her and she reacts, and that is not good for her overall image, and perhaps they can't control that with her. So she was very tucked back today. The prosecution agreed with the defense on a lot of the issues presented, including the amount of time that the camera spent on Lori in court. And, they wanted a fair trial and everything else, and the cameras were a distraction. Now, they did say that they were pleased today that there were no microphones on that table, that the cameras were more pulled back, the press was being more respectful, but wow. I mean, to say totally no cameras at trial, that is insane. I can't get past that. So, yeah, that's right. 3 years and we haven't passed the preliminary crap. Yep. It just doesn't seem real. It just doesn't. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, in case you haven't seen it, we'll go through what Judge Boyce's official order states, or his official decision, response, whatever you want to call it. And then we'll look at the law, and then we'll look at the family statement, and however long that takes, it takes. I want to have a good discussion tonight, and then we'll come back at another night and discuss episode 3, and then I have some other stuff in the works for you too. But I couldn't postpone this tonight. I needed to do this tonight for my own, being selfish for me, and plus I live in Florida and we might have a hurricane, so I figured if I put it off till tomorrow and then we got different news and we had to make some preparations or something, then that was just another day. And so we're here tonight. Everything's nice and not really calm. I was gonna say calm, but it's not calm. It's just not. And you guys, I should have been preparing my screen while I was doing all that babble talk. So give me 1 second here, and I'm going to pull this up, and we will get into it. All right. So the first couple pages of this are left out simply because they're just like to the parties and blah, blah, blah. This is the actual, what we want to see from the judge. So I hope you can see this. If you can't, it is on my Twitter and on my Facebook page. So on Twitter, I'm at Crime Sushi. Don't go to at True Crime Sushi. Somebody has mimicked my account, and that's good for them, but that's not me. Okay? I'm at Crime Sushi. So it reads as follows. The court has carefully considered the arguments presented at the September 15th, 2022 hearing on this issue, including the arguments of Mr. Wright, counsel for numerous media clients, counsel for numerous media clients. Subsequent to the hearing and upon request of counsel, the court has reviewed the video footage of an August 16th, 2022 hearing as cited in the state's concurrence. Let me silence my phone because I forgot to do that. I'm sorry. The court concurs with defendant's argument that the footage of the August 16th hearing demonstrates an inordinate focus on the defendant, zooming onto her face throughout the vast majority of the hearing, regardless of who was speaking or what was happening. This court has previously permitted cameras in the courtroom during this case, allowing both photography and video transmission. But when the case is as sensational, one tensions develop between the right of the accused to trial by an impartial jury and the rights guaranteed to others by the First Amendment. And then he references Nebraska Press Association versus Stewart. Further, the capacity of the jury eventually impaneled to decide the case fairly is influenced by the tone and extent of the publicity, such as precisely the conflict here. While the right to public access must be protested, the scope of the coverage cannot supersede the rights of all parties to the fair administration of justice in this case. Courts have historically struggled with the issue of permitting cameras in the courtroom. Going back decades, cases have been overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court because of issues related to extensive media coverage. In this day and age, the problem is further exacerbated where instantaneous access to coverage provided by traditional media outlets is quickly rebroadcast, repackaged, and reimagined. That line just has such a cynical connotation to me. The court has previously been made aware and continues to be informed that documentaries, dramatizations, and fictionalized movies focusing on the defendants and allegations in this case have already been produced and continue to disseminate to the public. It's true. All of this continues to occur in a case which has not yet been tried. The court is very concerned that continued visual coverage of this case will impede the ability of the parties to select fair and unbiased jurors. While the court has refrained from delving into viewing the coverage in this case, the coverage is so extensive, the court has had to proactively avoid viewing it as it's routinely part of local and at times national news. The affidavit submitted by Mr. Wright confirms this, and just one of Mr. Wright's 30-plus clients distributes footage from hearings in this case to dozens of media organizations and millions of viewers. In fully considering this decision, the court notes that the media have raised a compelling issue: public access for the citizens of Fremont and Madison counties. The excessive coverage of this case has already resulted in the court's determination that trial will be held in Ada County, Idaho, as the court has previously concluded that it would be unlikely to obtain an unbiased jury pool with the home county of this case, Fremont County. It is unfortunate that local citizens, including citizens of both Fremont and Madison counties, who bear the cost of this case and should be given local access to this trial should they wish to attend, now could not do so without inconvenience. Yeah, about a 5-hour inconvenience, by the way. I believe it's like 300 miles away. Upon full consideration of the arguments of the state and defense, notably concurring with each other, the court is persuaded that further visual coverage of this case will run afoul of the court's considerations as set forth plainly in ICAR 45. That rule provides this court discretion to make this determination. ICAR 45 states, in part, audiovisual coverage is authorized subject to the discretion of the presiding judge. ICAR 45B states that, in part, the presiding judge may, at his or her discretion, limit, restrict, or prohibit audiovisual coverage at any proceeding. The court determines herein that continued visual coverage of this case poses a great risk to the fair administration of justice in this case and co-defendant Chad Daybell's companion case, which cases are joined for trial. Therefore, continued visual coverage will no longer be permitted. The court determines that this decision applies to all future pretrial motions and trial. Where continued coverage of pretrial motions will likely cause potential jurors to be biased, disqualifying them from service, coverage during trial raises additional and equally serious concerns. The court will not risk the loss of seated jurors who may intentionally or inadvertently review the very trial proceedings they are sworn to decide, or those jurors must make their decision only upon the evidence presented at trial. The court will not risk the potential loss of state or defense witnesses who may intentionally or inadvertently become tainted by viewing the trial proceedings before they testify, assuming their exclusions from the proceedings as is regularly ordered for material witnesses. The court further is concerned that at trial, the added and unnecessary pressure witnesses and counsel will be subject to, knowing their every expression, utterance, and appearance will be captured and circulated without their control in perpetuity, is unwarranted and will likely interfere with the fair administration of justice in this case. Subjecting trial participants, including attorneys and witnesses, to that added pressure may unfairly influence jurors who may incorrectly question credibility based on the reactions to that pressure. I'm sorry. I don't feel sorry for attorneys. You're an attorney. People are going to be looking at you, whether you're on camera or you're in the courtroom. That's who you are. You're up on stage selling something. I don't want to be flippant, but this is a capital case, but lawyers are up there with their facts, persuading the jury. It's a debate. It's a debate utilizing evidence and the law and the power of persuasion. So why they have the added pressure for the attorneys of being on camera even included in this, I'm going to be petty. I'm petty Patty right now. Sorry, but that really drove me crazy. Therefore, in the discretion of the court pursuant to ICIR 45A and B, authorization of all video and photographic coverage in the courtroom in this case at all further proceedings, including trial, is revoked. Audio recording of all future proceedings will continue to be permitted, with the court utilizing the in-courthouse microphones operated by court personnel. Any third-party recording will be subject for future approval, and if approved, will be monitored to ensure that microphones are located to ensure that unwarranted conversations between counsel and clients are not recorded. Finally, in order to facilitate the attendance of the trial in Ada County by Fremont County and Madison County citizens who wish to attend and have lost the ability to attend in person without great inconvenience, the court intends to provide enhanced access for Fremont and Madison County residents by providing designated seating at trial in a manner to be further determined. So Madison and Fremont are paying for this case. They can't watch it on TV or on the internet, but if they drive the 5 hours or 300 miles, there'll be a special little section for them. And of course, I'm sure it won't be a whole lot. And then it's a conclusion. Defendant's motion to clarify media in the courtroom, together with the state's concurrence and express request to remove cameras from the courtroom, is granted. It is so ordered, dated this 23rd day of September 2022. Stephen W. Boyce, District Judge. So we have this out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing the screen, and I'm going to click over to something else I would like to show you. And then I'll get back to you in the chat. Give me 1 second here. Pull this up. don't know if I'm sad or furious, and I don't like being emotional about these things. Usually I really compartmentalize. But I'm really just flabbergasted. I don't even think that's the word. Okay. So they keep talking about ICAR 45. It is the Idaho Court Administrative Rule 45 cameras in the courtroom. And so it included the paragraph, that's section A on this document. B says, they reference B2, but the presiding judge may, at his or her discretion, limit, restrict, or prohibit audiovisual coverage at any proceeding. Any decision regarding audiovisual coverage is not subject to appellate review. There is no appeals on this. There's no appeals. And that's kind of what I wanted to show you. And I'm not saying that somebody out there doesn't know another way or like a backdoor way to maybe reverse this. I need to take a drink, so hold on. But from what I saw today, the media that were talking, most of them seem pretty defeated. Like they realize that this is, I hate that I just said realize, they are aware that this is a reality. And we can think about some other cases where cameras weren't allowed. Scott Peterson, the death of Lacey Peterson and her unborn son, Connor. Cameras were not allowed in, was it Susan Smith? So this has happened before. This is not unprecedented. Yeah, Gambler says, I'm sure there will be a petition out there regarding the cameras. I really hope that there is. I don't know how much it'll work, but yeah, I agree. All right. Let's see. The media could go to the appellate court and try to get it overturned. That's about it. I don't think so. There's no appeals process for this. It's clearly stated in here. He, meaning Judge Boyce, can revoke his order. He can change his mind, but there's no appellate process. And then Leah Simpson says, they should have gotten a more experienced judge too. I don't know if that's possible, but it should be. It's interesting. I don't even know what to think right now. It feels like the rug has just been pulled out from under us. And I know it's not just us. It really isn't. It's collective. I'm seeing it everywhere. Athena says, I have a feeling they'll regret this decision when the streets are filled with people outside the court. Oh, yeah. They're going to have a lottery for seats like they have had in other trials. Now, it's interesting because, let me see. There was a statement made, I had mentioned it before, by Larry and Kay Woodcock. They provided it to Nate Eaton from East Idaho News. We are disappointed and distraught in regards to Judge Boyce's decision to not allow court cameras. Although we want justice for JJ, Tylee, Charles, and Tammy, we feel he overreacted. The simple solution is not to televise preliminary hearings in order to not taint a jury pool, yet still allow cameras during the trial. Some of our immediate family, close friends, and supporters from around the globe will not be able to share in this most horrific story. The story speaks from beyond the graves. We want the world to hear the atrocities executed by Lori and Chad Daybell. And again, that's from Larry and Kay Woodcock. Kay is Charles Vallow's sister. She's also the grandmother to J.J. Vallow. Guys, this is going to start so many conspiracy theories. There's already been things swarming around about the prosecution being LDS, that the LDS Church wants this covered up. I'm not saying this out loud to perpetuate it, but they didn't do themselves any favors by taking the cameras out of the courtroom. Because if there were conspiracy and there were certain people that didn't want all the details blasted out to the public, this would be a way to do it. And then I have to wonder, is the judge just going to seal up everything? I mean, are we ever going to get to hear what really happens in that courtroom, or is it always going to be third-party information for us? Now, I know that we can rely on family members to tell us the truth if they want to talk about it, and I don't believe we should burden them with that. This is traumatic for them. They don't want to rely on, I don't want to say I don't want to rely because it makes it sound like they're unreliable, but I don't want to put that pressure on somebody that's already lost a family member. I don't want to do that in order to get the truth. I do trust the reporters that have been consistently and accurately and diligently covering this case. I have no issue with them whatsoever. My problem is selfish Amy, selfish Miss Sushi. I want to hear it the way it's presented to the jury so that when there's a verdict, I understand, or I can try to understand how they came to their decision. Yeah, that's a really good way to say it. A cluster truck. Yes. Petunia wants to go camp out on the lawn with Athena. Yeah, I don't understand. They're talking about the jury poll was tainted in Rexburg. Give me a break. I mean, this is a national news story. In jury trials with famous people, they still manage to find people that they make it through the voir dire process, and the defense and the prosecution agree that they'll be good jurors, good, fair, honest jurors. So I'm not, this whole thing like everybody in Rexburg is tainted and we got to move it to Ada County and all the people in Ada County are going to be doing this. I think they have a valid point about things like what we were talking about the other night, the Netflix series, the Lifetime movie. There's been podcasts or whatever, but people are discussing this because we can't wrap our heads around it. And it's almost like you have to talk about it to make it real, or it didn't happen. That's the way I look at it. And I'm not even saying that to be self-serving to me, because I'm with you guys. We're a family and we talk about true crime. I'm not justifying me talking about true crime right now. I'm really not. I think sometimes we have to really talk about things so that we know that they're real, and so that they don't get looked over and they don't get glossed over, and so that realize how savage all of this truly is, and how nonsensical it is, and how almost allowed it was in so many ways by some particular people. And I'm looking at you, Mr. Charles Vallow's bishop, and I'm looking at you, the police that responded when Charles is telling you his wife is crazy. And I'm looking at you, Janice Cox, saying your daughter has always had problems. She was out of touch with reality, but she wasn't hurting anybody. And if you're, by the way, I'm just going to say this right now. It might be completely unfair of me, and I will apologize later. But you know what, Janice? If you're such a devoted grandmother, where did you think your grandkids were during that time? Where did you think they were? Because you had your little doll, and I'm worried about your little doll, and I just loved, and I just loved. Where did you think they were? What were you being told? Tell us. Tell us what you were being told. Oh, you guys. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in so long. It's good to see you here, Rebed. You said, like I said before, the excuse that the judge using makes it sound like they think the jurors and witnesses, etc., are untrustworthy. I agree. It's like they don't have faith in their justice system, in our justice system. They claimed they were tainted by ribbons and photos of the kids, at least prior to. Yeah, that's ridiculous, Leah Simpson. I heard that too. Hi, Jerry and Jenny C. Hi, I was wondering if you looked into Miss Evelyn Dick more yet. You know what? I haven't. I haven't yet, and I'm very sorry. I did a show with another channel last night, and then this happened today, so I'm a little off track. But I definitely have, and it's written right here on the next thing I got to do when I get offline. So, you see, I had a paintbrush in my hand a minute ago, so I couldn't have possibly written that. Let's see. What are you saying, Athena? Does religion play too much of a part? It's always about money. If they were scared to lose members of the church, that would be a huge financial loss. This is my personal opinion, and this is my channel. I think the church has a huge... They have a lot on the line with this trial. Yes, I do. Does religion play too much of a part? I mean, I think that's subjective. Because according to, or what we know about the case so far is that Lori and Chad justified their crimes with their religion, and they claim to be LDS church or LDS members. We know that it wasn't just Chad and Lori in this Doomsday cult. We know that the church is preparing for the second coming. I don't believe that all Mormons are murderers. I don't. But I do know that they still have things in their text that talk about such actions, and still today they can deny it all they want, but it's there. So yeah, I don't think that that's far-fetched. Karen D. She says the Mormons are running the show up there. I'm trying not to think that way, but I would be naive to completely dismiss it. So I'm kind of like right here in the middle with it. I could go either way right now. It's almost like a prove me wrong or F around and find out type of thing. Yeah, Janice is the queen of denial. I absolutely agree. Victorian Purple says courts are supposed to be transparent to the taxpayers who pay their salaries. I'm smelling a cover up here. I'm struggling with that too. I can't even comment on that because I feel like I'm going to be reactive and I'm not totally processing everything yet, but I have heard that comment quite a few times today, and I'm not really sure where I weigh in on that right now. I'm interested in what anybody else might think, and feel free, because I don't judge your opinions. I'll tell you, if I disagree with you, I'll tell you, but it's not like, unless you're doing hate speech or real life or something, I'm not gonna like kick you out or anything like that. Let's see. Yeah, and then Rebird says on, piggybacking on what she said before, like they don't believe in their own system, or they don't trust the jurors. They don't trust them not to watch coverage, which is ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, really, if you're sitting on a jury pool because you're considered untainted up to this point, and then you can't be trusted not to go Google, like that's a little much. Can't get behind that. Yeah. Ping says, I think we've seen that influence in this case already a bunch of times. Yep. Okay, Gambler says they did the same thing with the trial for the disappearance of Kristen Smart. Chris Lambert, who did the excellent podcast on Kristen, is transcribing from the courtroom to his Twitter account. Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I don't. Look at what's happening in Pike County right now. Pike County massacre, 2 families, the modern day Hatfields and McCoys, savage, brutal murders. And every other day, somebody's like, I really don't want to be on camera. I really don't want my voice recorded. I'm in the custody of the Department of Corrections, but I don't want to be on camera. So we're relying on, and I mean, Breaking Crime with Big E has been there and given us great coverage, and other wonderful people for Law Crime and the other, networks or whatever. But is it the same hearing it yourself? Can somebody tweet out tone to you in a real-time way? Like, there's a difference if I say, they did the same thing with the trial, or they did the same thing with the trial. How was it said? Where were they looking? What were they showing? You're going to have to, it's going to be like reading a play. You're going to have to sell us the scene, because that's important. That's important. The courtroom is a stage. It's a performance. It's an art. You can't just say, and then he said, and then he said, and then he said. You can't even say, and then they did Exhibit 2. Sometimes Exhibit 2 is very gently placed up there and with great care, because it's a picture of a victim or something like that. Sometimes things are revealed. Sometimes they're smacked down on the counter. Like, imagine if they didn't show the OJ trial and you never saw, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. What if you never saw that? What if you never saw OJ pretending to try to smush his hand into that glove, and you just heard about it? Does it hit the same? Could you be a jury? Could you be a jury and just be tweeted to? Let's put the jury in a room and lock them in there. They all have apartments. Their speaker system comes on right after breakfast at 9. They get a break at noon. They get a couple breaks during the day. They never leave their rooms, and they just listen. You think that would work? Or maybe they don't even listen. I'm sorry. They get tweeted. The lawyers can tweet them. And then at the end, all the jurors can come together and make a decision. Do you think that would be fair? We could tweet them pictures too. Exhibits. I mean, do you guys get what I'm saying? The way things are presented to you make all the difference in the world. Miss Peaches says, at Gambler, I'm not on Twitter. Is there any way to get dailies? Yeah, there's other sources. Are you talking about in Kristen Smart? Because if you need that, we can get that together. DD Heritage. It's the state versus Daybell. The state, at least, is entitled to coverage. I agree. But interesting that the state prosecution supported the defense in not wanting the cameras in the court. And by the way, just so you know, hold on, I can put them on the screen. I need to take this Idaho thing off anyway. Let me stop this screen and share this. Oh, that was the invite button. Give me 1 second here. Because we also got documents in the Chad Daybell. No, sorry, you guys. Give me 1 second because everything's all wonky tonight. Oh my god, I did have it up. Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm going to take a deep breath. Calm down. And let's do this thing. All right. So this was the other paperwork that was filed today. Right around the same time, 1:19 p.m. So right at Mountain Time, right around the same time. So in the state of Idaho versus Chad Guy Daybell, the defendant filed a motion to change venue on July 21st, 2021. The court granted the motion to change venue, or more apt, granted a transfer of trial on October 10th, 2021. The Idaho Supreme Court entered an order affirming the order of this court to transfer trial to Ada County. The rationale for granting transfer of trial was the deluge of publicity, and then they referenced Shepard versus Maxwell, a 1966 case, in pretrial reporting about the case. Accordingly, it is hereby ordered, pursuant to ICAR 45A and B, and for the reasons set forth in the memorandum decision and order prohibiting video and photographic coverage entered in the co-defendant's case on September 23, 2022, the court hereby revokes the authorization of visual coverage in this case consistent with that order. So, I mean, I know it kind of goes without saying, but just for those people that are like, oh, well, how does this affect Chad? Their trials are connected right now. So it's not like they just can't show Lori and her lawyers. They can't show anything in the courtroom. And they're covering all their bases. And, I didn't expect anything less, but damn, did it come out real quick. This was a well-executed and planned response. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I keep seeing Elf. Okay, hold on. I'm going to have to load back. Hi, Dee. Okay, so these comments aren't old. They're only 8 minutes ago. Let's see. What are you saying, Ping? Yeah, but if that happens, it creates an unfair divide. So some people get the access and the stories, so to speak, and others are fighting for breadcrumbs. It's just stupid. It's interesting you say that, because what did I say? I won't tell you who I was talking to, okay? Because I'm not going to violate my friend's right to privacy. But I will read a text exchange. And the person said, so I say, I'm literally sick to my stomach over this. And that person says, not sure it's hit me yet. Hearings I expected, trial absolutely not. And I said, it's disgusting. It's only going to create a more bloodthirsty and salacious environment, like a gladiator circus. And I mean that. If you didn't think this got cutthroat before about covering things, you just wait. There's only so many seats in that courtroom. There's only so many seats. They're not going to have overflow at this point anyway. They're not going to have overflow. Yeah, laws need to be changed. Yep, the Pike County trial is crazy, but isn't it driving you crazy, Gambler, that there's like you miss a whole testimony because the person will be on audio or video? No. All right, let's look here. It should be streamed with one angle and everyone gets the same feed, so no close-ups, but at least it's open for all. Well, it was a civil case, but they could do what they did in the Depp Heard trial. Court TV was in the courtroom. They were the media feed. The other media outlets could buy into Court TV, use their footage, and then do their own commentary based on that footage and that audio. I don't understand why that's a problem. I feel like, and I hate saying this, but I feel like somebody really effed up in the August hearing by focusing on Lori. All those real close-ups and everything. I understand it. The public wanted it. We're curious. She's been locked up in a mental institution during this time. She's, back and forth. She's accused of killing her husband, killing her children, all kinds of things. Of course we want to see her. But were they being obnoxious about it? Maybe. I hate thinking that. But that's what they used. So, anyway. Oh my gosh. Are you saying, King? Well, they are saying only people from the two counties will get out, so it could be even worse. No, they're not saying that. What they're saying is they're going to make provisions from people traveling from Fremont and Madison, because those are the people in those counties are the taxpayers for this trial. So they deserve to see where their tax dollars are going. So they're going to make sure there's like special accommodations, but I mean, they can't, you want to Google the population of Fremont County, let's just say 50% of them want to go. There's no way they can make those accommodations. And then you're going to have the press in there, and then you have families. You have the victims' families. I believe so too, Heather Nosden. It's really good to see you again, by the way. Judge Boyce I do believe he's made a huge mistake. Sometimes I like to look at judges, not all, not like Pollyanna, but sometimes I look at judges and I go, almost like a fatherly kind of thing, or fatherly sounds gross, but in a sage kind of way, and meaning like wise and studied and learned. And I think, okay, I just don't really understand this just yet, and I have to do some research. There must be like a reason, and sometimes I do find it. This, I don't. I can't even make an excuse for it. Cameras in the courtroom reveal a lot. We wouldn't have witnessed Casey Anthony's antics during her trial. She looked so glum when the jury was in. Once they were out, she was smiling and laughing. Well, you're 100% correct. But how about this? How about if you had to hear secondhand the day that Jose Baez stood up and said, and Casey Anthony had to go to school 10 minutes after having her father's penis in her mouth? What if you just heard that on a tweet, or read it on a tweet? Would it have bothered you? Or what about when they did opening statements? The prosecution did opening statements, and they would say, this night Casey went to, the sushi restaurant or whatever Where was Kaylee Anthony? This night she broke down. Where was Kaylee Anthony? This night she was at the hot body contest. Where was Kaylee Anthony? What if you were reading that in a tweet? Would it have impact? No, because part of court is theatrical and it's a visual and it's audio and it's everything. I just don't understand. I don't. Once the jury has been selected, there is no reason why camera footage shouldn't be allowed. I agree. I do believe it was court TV in the August hearings, but I'm not 100% positive. And I didn't double check before I came on here. So I felt uncomfortable saying with absolute certainty. My instinct is telling me yes. Petunia says, I think Lori's enjoying the spotlight. She's lost without her fan club status. Yeah. I mean, like I said, there are groups of people that think that Lori is playing to the cameras with the Miss America wave and the smiles and the giggling and things like that. And then there's, her attorney saying, her mental condition or mental diagnosis is going to be specified and it's going to be out soon. And, this is exploiting her. So it depends on which camp you're in. I will tell you when that was being said. And then afterwards, Lindsay Blake doesn't show much expression. She's usually working. So is the Pro Hawk BJ attorney over there, the other woman. I can't think of her name. It's escaping my mind and I'm so sorry. But Rob Wood seemed like he agreed with what Jim Archibald was saying in reference to Lori Vallow. So I don't know. Yeah, Marlene, thank you for making me laugh. At the door, you'll have to show your temple recommend to get a seat. I love it. I love it. All right. Let's say there's an old saying, they're throwing away the baby with the bathwater, correct the mistakes in the last hearing, move on. Yeah, lay down the law. This was so over the top. I mean, like I said, they could have even said, like, hey, you know what? Ixnay on the pre-trial, we're not doing it anymore. But the trial? This is insane. Well, I guess in the Depp v. Heard trial, they had those times where they were zooming in on notes on tables and in people's hands. I guess they could be worried about that. I think that's probably a concern, yeah. But, they can lay boundaries, and that was a civil trial. This is a criminal trial, and there's different, there's different things. So I'm going to do this, all right? I am going to drop a link in my chat. And if you want to come up here and chat with me about this, if you have something to say, I'm open to it. If not, it's 11:45. We've been on an hour. It's been a long day. This is a lot. It was a lot. And maybe it's just a natural, organic time to wrap this up. Yeah, there were, maybe it was the Botox comments. Yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of, she doesn't get her Botox done anymore. And then her hair and the Jolly Rancher makeup and, things like that. And I've been guilty of it too. So I can't sit up here and judge other people for saying those things. I'm not national press, but I should be a better person. And clients have people that are accused of a crime and going to court do have access to a closet, of clothes that are like street wardrobe. Now, they're not always worn during pretrial hearings, but definitely when they go to court, because if, you guys know, the jury sees them in stripes, they're like, it's like automatic, like, oh, they're a criminal. But people can bring in cosmetics. There's some hair tools that could be supervised depending on what they are. So I don't know. But yeah, it looks like she has fall makeup now. It does. It does. It all comes with the territory. Too much fodder. Wise words, sweet Petunia. Gambler says, once again regarding Casey Anthony, I wondered what the jury felt like after the trial when they saw she was playing them. You know, do you remember they interviewed some of those jurors and they were like the evidence that we were presented. There wasn't, it just wasn't proof positive and we couldn't convict. And I don't know. Yeah, no more microwave Kool-Aid for her. Oh, don't even talk about Kool-Aid and Doomsday in the same sentence. Although I do believe Jim Jones was Flavor Aid, not Kool-Aid. Fun fact. You guys remember One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? That's a nice segue, right? Out of the way, Vallow and mental hospitals. Louise Fletcher, that played Nurse Ratched, died today. So maybe we'll just end with that. Wow, she was a hated character. And again, dates. But I think the saddest thing is that it's, we should be remembering JJ today. And we should remember JJ every day. Remember Tylee every day. Remember Charles every day. Remember Tammy every day. I'm tired of this BS of protecting, people accused of murder. They still have rights and stuff, but even people that are subpoenaed, I'm sorry, sometimes somebody said I don't look at the camera enough, or not, they didn't say it like that. They said it really nice. They're like, I wish you'd look at the camera more. Quite honestly, I'm using a different camera and I don't really know where to look. And I'm very ADD, so sometimes I have to look off to the side so that I don't get distracted. But what happened to just, you're subpoenaed to be in court, you're going to be in court, and I'm sorry that you don't want to be filmed, but you're filmed in the grocery store, you're filmed at Walgreens, you're filmed in, your license plate is filmed, you're filmed when you go to the bank, you're filmed. There's very few places you aren't filmed. Get over it. Get over it. Your phone is listening to you. Your TV is listening to you in some cases. I just, no. Okay. For Miss Peaches, while we're still here, is there any other way to get trial coverage on Kristen Smart other than Twitter? I'll tell you what, Miss Peaches, send me an email. My email address down here. I'm going to either find you a really good creator that's covering it or something. I will find you something. Yeah. Have Kay and Larry in your thoughts. Crush a Kay Easton in your thoughts. Tammy Daybell's family, they lost their mom. Charles, the extended family of Charles Vallow, and all that knew JJ and Tylee. And I think on that note, I'm going to say goodnight, you guys. I'm probably going to be back on Sunday, and I will look into the Evelyn Dick case. I got another case sent to me today. I have a lot of things kind of going in the works. I'm getting into the habit of being accountable. I've done 5 shows this week. I got to do something with the timing because it's just always going to be something. Work-life balance. It's like, but I'm happy to be back and thank you so much for being here. So, I'll talk to you guys soon. Oh, Glowing Ember, you're never late. You're never late. And I think Mary Poppins says you're never fully dressed without a smile, which makes no sense. I'm getting loopy. I'm tired. And I've had nothing but iced coffee today. It's not like anorexia is going to set in, but I would like to go, eat or something, which is not good at 11:52 at night. So, Kathy, I'm sorry. I thought I told you when we were chatting today. I'm sorry, Kathy Lynch. Good to see you. I was just saying, I didn't mention it. I didn't mention the case, and don't. But I got some good suggestions today, and I'm going to be back on Sunday. So we'll start talking about some other things, and I am going to wrap up 3 of the Netflix series. It won't be as long, and I have some serious thinking to do, because when this order came out today and it mentioned the documentary or the series, the movies, the special news presentations, the podcasts or whatever, I felt guilty, like I had perpetuated this and I was part of why there's no cameras in this courtroom. And I have to, I'm not being dramatic, it's just who I am. I have to seriously work through that myself. And what role I want to play in this true crime community. I don't think we can sit here and be silent. I don't think it's fair to expect us not to talk about high profile cases and things we don't understand. And like I said, they need to be talked about or they don't seem real and they get glossed over. And I don't want that to happen. But I have some self-reflection to do. So on that note, why do they allow cameras? Why do some allow cameras not on? Well, in this case, the defense, Kathy, presented a good enough case, and the prosecution agreed, and so the judge not only said no more cameras for pretrial hearings, but no cameras at trial either, and maybe not even audio. We may have a tweeted trial. It's very, very unfortunate. All right, you guys, I am going to say adios. Thank you all for being here. If you're new here and you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also hit the subscribe button down below somewhere. You know, everybody points to it. I don't know where the hell it is. I can't see it. That's the best way to support me. If you have questions, let's talk in the comments. Put anything you want down there. I'm very easygoing. I may not always agree with you, but I'm not going to fight with you or shun you or anything like that, as long as we're having respectful conversation. I think that's important. I'll be back on Sunday, probably around 10 p.m., maybe 9:30. I don't know. I'll let you know a little bit sooner than I did tonight, and I apologize for that as well. Such is life sometimes, right? So on that note, good night, Sushi crew. It's been great, and I will see you all soon.